Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial series where we're creating this Super Star Destroyer bridge in Blender. Now real quick before you continue watching this part, if you haven't watched the introduction video then I definitely recommend that you watch that. I'll leave a link in the description and a card right up there on the screen. And in the introduction video I just go over all of the parts to the tutorial series and I go over what we're going to be creating in each part and what you'll have when you finish the entire tutorial series. And also, if you'd like to purchase the finished project files for this tutorial, then you can get that over on my Gumroad store in my Patreon page, and that's also a really great way to help support this YouTube channel. Now in this part of the tutorial series, we are going to be modeling the front of the Star Destroyer bridge, and it's going to have some windows, like some sci-fi windows on the front. And so to help us create that, I'm going to be using this reference image right here. So it's a reference image for modeling that I created. So there will be a free download on my Gumroad and Patreon. I'll have the link in the description if you'd like to download this reference image. So we're going to add it into Blender and then use it in the background to help us model the windows. And you don't have to use this if you don't want to, but I think it will be very helpful for getting the correct shape of the windows. And if you'd like to help support me, you can also throw $1 into the price box before you purchase, and that is a great way to give me a tip and help to support me. And then one more quick thing before we start, I want to give a huge thanks to Sketchfab for sponsoring this video. Upload and preview your own 3D models on Sketchfab. My favorite feature of Sketchfab is that you can preview 3D models online in your browser. You can also purchase models and assets from Sketchfab's model store. You can use the model inspector to preview the wireframe, matte cap, textures, and more before you purchase. You can also apply to sell your own 3D models. Check out Sketchfab with the link below. Alright, so here we are in a new scene in Blender, and if you'd like to see my screencast keys, they're going to be right down here in the corner, and you can see what buttons I'm pressing. So I'm going to start by double tapping the A key to select everything, and then I will press X, and we're going to delete everything. I'm now going to press Shift A, and I want to add in that background image so that we can model the windows on the back. So I'm going to go right down here to Image, and then I'm going to open up Background. And then here is the reference image that I'm going to be using. Again, there will be a free download on my Gumroad and Patreon with the link in the description. So I'm just going to click on this, and then I'm going to click on the Load Background Image. All right, so here it is, and what it's done is it's added it towards our view. So because we were looking at it from over here, it kind of added it looking up like this, and I don't want that, so I'm going to press Alt R to clear the rotation. So now what I want to do is I want to rotate this up sideways. So I'm going to press 1 on my numpad to go to front view just so that I can make sure this is front view, and then I'm going to press R to rotate, and then I want to type in X to rotate it on the X axis, and I will type in 9, 0, and enter just to rotate it over by 90 degrees. And then I want to press G to grab, and then X on the X axis, and I just want to bring this over because this is actually only going to be half of the windows, the other half is going to be over here, so we're going to be modeling this side, and then we will add a mirror modifier. So I'm going to press 1 to go to front view, I can kind of zoom in here, and then I can press G to grab, click with my mouse wheel and then let go to constrain it on the x-axis, and I just want to put this right here kind of along that blue line there of the z-axis. Alright, we should save this Blender file, so let's go File and then just click on Save As. And I'll just save this as Star Destroyer Bridge Tutorial.blend, and I'll just click on Save As. And then as you're working on the project, you can press Ctrl S and that will save the project. So I'm now going to press Shift A, and I'm going to go right down here to Mesh, and then I'm going to add a plane. And then I will tab into Edit Mode, and then I want to press R to rotate, and X, and I want to type in 9, 0, and enter just to rotate it over. And then I can press 1 to go to front view, and I want to press G to grab, bring it over here, and then S to scale, we're going to scale it down, and G to grab and move it over. So I want to make it the size of the windows here, so I'll press S to scale, just kind of scale that down. I just want to make it the size of the window, so the top to the bottom of the window, just like that. Alright, so now I want to click on Add Modifier right over here on the Modifier Properties, and I want to add a Mirror Modifier, and then I'm going to click on the X-axis. And that way it's going to mirror it over, so this side is going to be mirrored over to that side. And then also I want to turn on this clipping button, and that way when these vertices connect in the middle, then they're going to be merged together. So I can now press Z and move my mouse over and let go to go into the wireframe view. I can now press G to grab, click and hold and then let go with my mouse wheel to constrain it to the x-axis, and I want to kind of bring it over here. So you can see that these windows in the reference image, they have bevels, but I don't want to be adding bevels right now. I do want to add bevels, but I'm going to add them later in the video. So for now, we're just going to pretend that the bevels aren't there. So we're just going to bring our vertex kind of right here in between the bevel. So I can now just select this vertex, and I'll press G to grab and X to bring it over on the x-axis, and I'm just going to bring it over here. So basically I want this line right here to be lined up with the line on the window. So on the window reference, basically it just needs to be aligned up just like that. So I'm now going to select this vertex and shift select this vertex, and I can press E to extrude, click and then let go with my mouse wheel, bring it over, and then click to place that. And then I just want to select this vertex, press G to grab, again constrain it to the x-axis, and we're just going to bring that over just like that. All right, so again, I can shift select this vertex so we have both of these selected, and I'll press E to extrude, and again, we want to constrain it to the x-axis, just bring it over, and then click to place that. And then if you need to, you can select a vertex and just kind of move it over because we want these to be straight along with that reference. So I can now shift select this, and I want to press E to extrude, again click and hold with my mouse wheel and then let go to constrain it to the x-axis, and just stick this right about there. I'm going to select this vertex, we'll press G to grab and constrain it to the x-axis, and we're just going to move it over. And then I need to select this one. You can see there's a bit of a gap right there, so I'll bring that one over as well. All right, let's press Control S again to save. So I want to keep doing that, but real quick, I'm going to select this vertex and then hold down the Shift key and select this vertex, and I'll press G to grab on the x-axis, and I'm just going to bring this over to the very end of the reference image. So just like that. So you can see there's the white part on the reference image. I just want to bring it over to the end of that. All right, let's go back over here. I'm going to select this vertex and shift select this vertex. I'll press E to extrude on the x-axis. We're just going to bring that over, and then I need to select this, press G to grab, and we're going to align that with the window. And then I'll shift select that. I'll press E to extrude, bring that over. And then I need to select this one, and then I'll press G to grab, just kind of move that over there. And then we need to kind of move this vertex back a little bit. And this one, move it over a little bit as well. All right, just like that. So again, I want to shift select these. I'll press E to extrude on the x-axis. We're just going to bring that over. Maybe move this over a little bit. And then again, select this vertex and shift select this vertex, and I'll press E to extrude. We're almost done here. So I'm just going to bring that over, select this vertex, bring that over, just align that up. Okay, shift select this, and I'll press E to extrude, kind of bring that over and bring that over. And then I'll shift select both of these, and I'll press E to extrude on the x-axis, and we just want to bring this over here. And I did already add the mirror modifier, but I think I pressed Control Z and it got rid of it. So let me just click on add modifier again right over here, and we're going to add the mirror modifier. And then I want to turn on the X so it mirrors it over to the x-axis. And then I want to turn on clipping so that it merges these two together. So I can now press G to grab on the x-axis, and I want to just bring these in and just push them together on the end there. So now you can see that these two pieces right here, these are merged together with the mirror modifier. If I just go back into solid view, you can see that we now have that mirror there. So I'm going to press 1 to go to front view, and I'll press Z and move my mouse over and let go to go into wireframe. So now what I want to do is I want to add a loop cut right here, because you can see that there is a little spot right there. This window is a little bit smaller than the other windows. So I'm going to press Control R and then left click, and then we're going to drag over, and then we're going to click to place that. All right, so now we have that other loop cut there for the smaller window. And then I want to hold down the Alt key and just select this ring of vertices right on the top here. I can now press E to extrude, and I want to extrude it on the Z axis, and we're going to bring this all the way up to the top of the white part of the reference, just like that. And then I can hold down the Alt key and select this ring of vertices, and I'll press E to extrude on the Z axis, and we're just going to bring this down and then just click to place that. So I can now press 3 on the top of my keyboard or click right up here to go to the face select, and I now just want to delete the windows. So I'm going to again press 1 to go to front view and Z to go to wireframe so I can see those windows. So I'm now just going to start to select all of the faces where the windows are. So I'm going to select this face and then hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to shift select all of these other faces here to delete those windows. All right, so now we have all those pieces selected. So I'm going to press X to delete, and we want to delete faces. So I now want to press A to select everything, and I want to give this some thickness. So I'm going to kind of navigate up here so I can see the top of it, and I'm going to press E to extrude, and we're just going to extrude this out, and then just click to place it. Something like that is pretty good. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to inset this and then kind of bring it out a little bit. And that way there's going to be a bit of a bevel on these edges, because I am looking at a bunch of reference images from the actual Star Destroyer bridge in the movies, and they seem to have kind of a bevel kind of on the front there. So what I'm going to do is press I now to inset all of those faces, and you can see it's insetting them, so it's kind of bringing them down and making them smaller. And I'm just going to click to place that, so now you can see there's all these faces inside the main faces. So I'm now going to press G to grab and Y on the Y-axis, and I'll just bring that out a little bit, and then just click to place that. All right, so now if you kind of look on these edges here, you can see that we have these bevels right here. Now right over here, you can see that it added a bevel right here, and we don't want that. And then also kind of right over here, added a bevel, and we don't want that. So what I'm gonna do is press 3 on the top of my keyboard, or click right up here to the face select, and I want to select this face, and then hold in the shift key and select this face. And then just make sure those are the only faces. So I'm going to press X to delete, and I'm going to delete faces. So I can now press 1 on the top of my keyboard, or click right up here to the vertex select. And I want to Alt select this, and then hold in the Shift key and Alt key and select this ring of vertices. So we have both of these rings of vertices. So I can now press G to grab on the X axis, and I just want to push them into the mirror so that they merge together. And then let's go right over here, and I want to press 3 or click right here to go to the face select. And I want to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to select all of these faces right here. All right, just like that. So I'm going to press X to delete, and I'm going to delete faces. So I can now press 1 again to go back right up here to the vertex select, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key and again select this ring of vertices. I want to flatten this because you can see it kind of rotates because of that bevel. So I'll press S to scale, and X to scale it on the X-axis, and then I can type in 0 and enter, and that way it's going to flatten it. And then also I want to press 1 to go to front view, and I want to kind of zoom in here and just press G to grab and kind of move this over back to the white reference. All right, that is looking good. Let's press Control S again to save. And then also this timeline right down here, we aren't going to need this. So I'm going to hover my mouse over this right here when the crosshair appears, and I can click, drag up, and then drag down, and then I can let go, and that'll close the timeline. All right, so we now don't need this reference image. If I just select this reference image, you can see it's still there, but we don't need it. So I'm just gonna press X and then delete it. All right, so this is starting to look cool, but a Star Destroyer bridge is kind of rotated and the windows kind of rotate around, but this is very flat and straight. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to be adding a curve, and then we are going to use the Curve Modifier to tell this object to rotate around with the curve. So to do this, I'm going to press Shift C to make sure my 3D cursor is in the very center. I can now press Shift A, and I'm going to go right down here to Curve, and then I want to add the Bezier Curve. I'm now going to press 7 on the numpad to go to top view, and I'll tab into edit mode. So I want to press S to scale and then G to grab. We're going to kind of move this up here. And then I want to select this handle right here, and I'll press G to grab and R to rotate. We're just going to kind of rotate this around so it goes kind of over and down. And then I'm also going to bring this handle in a little bit. So I want this handle to be just a little over 4 grids. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 grids. So I'll just kind of bring it over here. And then I want to press E to extrude, and I want to extrude this out. And this one I want to be over 5 grids. And I'll also press R to rotate and G to grab. And we're just going to stick this kind of over here. And I also want this curve to be about 7 grids down. So I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right about there. So you can see that's ending right about there, just a little farther. So I now want to do pretty much the exact same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to select this handle right here, and I'll press 7 to go to top view. I can now press E to extrude and R to rotate. And I just want to kind of rotate this over to about the same angle. I'll also scale this down a little bit and just bring it over. And I also want to bring this over about 4 grids far, just like that. All right. And then I can press E to extrude, and we're just going to bring this down. And this one I want to be about 7. So kind of right over here. And I'll just bring that down just like that. And then I'll also select this one and I'm going to bring it out a little bit and scale it out a little bit so it's a bit smoother. All right, so just something like that, that is pretty good, and you can go back and adjust this later if you need to. So I'm going to tab back into object mode, and then I can select this object right here. I'm now going to click on add modifier, and I'm going to add the curve modifier on this object right here. So on this curve modifier, I need to tell it what curve to be curved around. So on the curve object right here, I'm going to click on this little eyedropper, and then I can select the Bezier curve. All right, so you can see it kind of hops over here, or it might hop all over the place. It might look a little bit weird. So what you need to do is press G to grab and just kind of move this and move it around until it's on the correct spot. So this is already pretty correct. So I'm just going to press G to grab, and then I want to press X on the X-axis, and I just want to bring this over just like that. And then I'm also going to press S to scale, and I want to scale this up a little bit. So the curve modifier is a little weird, but you can just kind of fiddle with it. For me, what works best is moving it on the X-axis, and that's going to move it along the curve. And then you can press S to scale as well, or you can also bring it up on the Z-axis if you want to. And I'm also going to press 7 on the numpad to go to top view and just kind of rotate this over, something like that. Now, if I tab into edit mode, it's going to hop us back to the original position. And then when we tab into object mode, it's going to use that curve. So you can see in object mode, there are quite a bit of vertices around here, so it is kind of turning around quite nicely, but then right here it's like super straight. So what I'm going to do is tab into edit mode, and I'm just going to move over here, and I'm going to press Control R to add a loop cut. And then I want to scroll my mouse wheel so that there are quite a few loop cuts, and then left click and then right click, and that way there's going to be more loop cuts. So when I tab back into object mode, you can see now this is nicely curving around that curve. So let's tab back into edit mode again. And now I want to go in here and add some more details and some bevels and things. So I'm going to press 2 on the top of my keyboard, or just click right up here to the edge select. So now I want to add some bevels kind of around here on the side of the windows, because if you remember on the reference images, there were some bevels on the side of the windows, so I want to add those. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and just select this loop of vertices, and then hold down the Shift and Alt key and continue to select all of the edges of the windows. So just hold down the Shift and Alt key and just select all of those edges there, just like that. So you can see kind of what I'm selecting, just the edges of those windows. So I'm going to do that for all the windows. So Shift and Alt and select all of those edges there, just like that. And this one over here. All right, and then also this one over here. All right, so these are all the things you want selected, just the edges of all the windows. So to add a manual bevel, I am now going to press Control B. And then if you drag out your mouse, you can see that we're adding a manual bevel on those edges. Now I also want to scroll out my mouse wheel, and that is going to add more loops there in those bevels so that they are a bit smoother. So I want to scroll my mouse wheel out 5 times. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just so that there is quite a bit more smoothing there. There's a lot more vertices there in the bevel. And now I just want to bring my mouse out, and I don't want them to be overlapping. You can see kind of right over here, they're overlapping, and right over there, they're overlapping. So I want to make them as big as I can without having them overlapping. So I'm just going to bring them out to something like that, and then just click to place that. All right, so there we go. So now you can see that there's all these manual bevels along the edges there. And if I tab back into object mode, we just need to kind of move over here to see that. But you can see there's a nice manual bevel along all those edges. All right, so that is looking pretty good, but you can see that the edges here are still pretty sharp. So I want to click on add modifier, and we are now going to add the bevel modifier. So this is going to be a manual bevel. And then also I want to bring the bevel modifier up, because I want the curve modifier to work after the bevel, because the modifiers work in their order. So you start with the top one, and then it goes down to the next one and the next one. So I'm going to click on these little dots right here, and I'm going to drag up and then just click and drop that. So that way it uses the bevel modifier before the curve modifier. So then on this bevel modifier, I want to turn the segments up to 5 so that it's pretty detailed. And then I want to also, with the object context menu, shade this object smooth. And then I'm also going to turn this amount very, very small, to a 0.002. So I'm just changing this amount here to 0.002, and you can see now if you zoom in here, there is some detail there, but it is pretty small. But this is going to make the final result look much more realistic. So let's just press Ctrl S again to save, and you can now kind of start to tell what this is turning into. So these are going to be all the windows for the Star Destroyer bridge. So now let's go ahead and add a camera. So I'm going to press Shift C to center the 3D cursor, and I can now press Shift A, and I'm going to go right down here and add a camera. So I can now just kind of move the camera to wherever I want it to be. So I want the camera to be kind of somewhere around here, and then I'm going to press Control Alt Numpad 0, and Control Alt Numpad 0 is going to hop the camera to where we are. And then I want to bring this out because it's too close right now. So I'm going to press G to grab and then double tap the Z key. So when you press G to grab and then double tap the Z key in the camera, it's going to bring the camera in and out. And I can just bring this back a little bit and then click to place that. And then I can also press G to grab and maybe move this over a little bit because I don't want it to be kind of on the side there. Let's press Ctrl S to save. Alright, so now let's go ahead and model the floor. So to model the floor, I'm going to again press Shift C to center my 3D cursor, and then I'll press Shift A, and I'm going to go right down here to Mesh, and I'm going to add a plane. And then I will tab into Edit Mode, and I want to press G to grab and bring it over on the X-axis, just like that. And then I can click on Add Modifier, and again, I want to add the Mirror Modifier to mirror it over to the other side. And then we can also turn on the Clipping button right here, and that way when I press G and X, we can kind of push these two together, and they're going to be merged together. So I can now press 7 to go to top view, and I'll press G to grab, and just kind of bring this over, and then just place it just like that. I now want to press 1 on the top of my keyboard or click right up here to the vertex select, and I'm going to select this vertex and then hold down the Shift key and select this vertex. So both of these front vertices are selected. So I now want to press E to extrude and bring it over, and then also I want to press Z and go into wireframe, and I'll press G to grab and X on the X-axis and just kind of push this in, and then I'll press E to extrude, and we can actually just extrude this up like that, and because we're extruding it up towards the mirror, it's just going to merge those together. So I can press E to extrude, click to place that, E to extrude, click to place that, and we're just going to continue to extrude this up until, just like that, until it's going around the windows. Just like that. So I can now press 7 on the numpad to go to top view, and then I can just box select these two vertices. And then I'll press B for the box select, and I'm just going to box select these two vertices, and I'm just going to make sure these two vertices are selected. So I'm now going to press E to extrude and Y on the Y-axis, and I'm just going to bring this way down just like that. So this is going to be farther down in the bridge of the Star Destroyer. And then I can tab back into object mode. Now you can see this is way too high right now, so I'm going to press 0 to go into the camera view, and I'm going to press G to grab and Z on the Z axis, and we're just going to bring this way down, pretty much as far down as we can to about like there. I'm now going to tab back into object mode, and I'll press 7 to go to top view. And then right in here, I want to press Control R, and then I want to left click and then right click just to add a loop cut right there. And then what I want to do is I want to select this vertex, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I want to select these other vertices, so we just have these vertices selected. I now want to press E to extrude, click and hold with my mouse wheel, and then let go to constrain it on the X-axis. And I just want to bring this out pretty far, and then just click to place that. And then we're also going to be adding like some walls right here to kind of cover up this area, and we'll also be adding a roof and things like that. Let's press Ctrl S again to save. Alright, so now I want to model those little areas kind of down here that go down in, and usually like the generals or the control people are like down in here, and there's like some computers and things. So I want to cut out a little area and kind of extrude it down for the little control center in the Star Destroyer. So to do this, I'm going to press 7 to go to the top view. And then I'll also press Z and move my mouse over and let go to go into the wireframe view. And I'm now going to press K, and K is going to bring me to the knife tool. Now I don't want to make this too far, but I also don't want to make it too far back. So usually like there's like a little spot right here kind of going along the window where the generals and Darth Vader can like walk around. And then also there's like a center part right here here where like Darth Vader can, walk down the center and kind of look out the window. So I want to cut this so that there's still kind of a spot right here in the center, and then there's also still a spot kind of on the side where the window is. So I think right about here is a pretty good spot. So I'm going to click, and that is going to cut into the object. And then I want to bring this straight down. So what I'm going to do is press the C key, and the C key is going to constrain our knife tool to 45-degree angles. So I now want to move my mouse down, and I want to go all the way down to about here. And if you need to, you could escape out of this and kind of add a loop cut if you need to add some more loop cuts, but right here is fine. So I'm going to now click, and that's going to cut through that. And then I'm going to move over, and I'm going to bring this over to kind of about here. And then I'm going to click again, and then I'm going to bring this up, and then click again. And you can see that it kind of cut through here, and that is not what we want, but we will fix that later. So now what I want to do is I want to turn off the constraining on the 45-degree angles. So I'm going to press the C key again. So I'm now just going to, by hand, I'm just going to start to click, and I'm just going to kind of rotate this over, just like that. So now that I've kind of added that round part right there, I'm going to press enter, and that is going to add that. Now we definitely need to fix this shape. This isn't looking very good. So let's press 7 again to go to top view. So for some reason the knife tool kind of cut along here. So I want to press K again for the knife tool, and I want to click to add a cut right there. And then I want to press the C key again to constrain it to 45-degree angles. And I want to just bring this down, click to place it right there, and then I can press the enter key, and that is going to just place a cut right there. So now I want to kind of add more vertices right here, because you can see this is very blocky. So I'm going to press 7 to go to top view, and I'm going to press Z to go into wireframe. I now want to press A to deselect everything, and I'm going to just box select this right here. And I want to press G to grab, and I want to press Y on the Y axis. And I'm just going to bring this over just like that, so it's a bit farther. And I can also box select this right here, and then I can press G to grab and bring it over on the Y-axis just like that. So now that is definitely going a bit farther. And then I want to kind of smooth it out. So what I'm going to do is press Control R and add a loop cut right here, and then left click and then right click. And I can now select this vertex right here, and I can press G to grab and bring it over on the X-axis and just kind of make that a bit more smooth. And then that is fine because that is going straight down, but I want to add some loop cuts right in here. So I'm going to press K again for the knife tool, and I'm going to click to place a vertex right there. And then I can press C again to constrain it to 45-degree angles. And I want to kind of move my mouse right over here, click to place that, and then press enter. And that is going to add vertices right there. And then I also want to do the same thing right here again. So I'm going to press K for the knife tool. I'm going to click and then drag over, and again I need to press the C key to constrain it on the angle, and I'm gonna bring that over there, click again, and then I can press enter. So now I have some more vertices to work with, so I can now select this vertice, and I can double tap the G key. So double tapping the G key is going to enable the edge slide, and I can just kind of rotate that or bring it over and then click to place that. And then I also want to select this and double tap the G key, just kind of bring that over and then click to place that. So that is much more of the shape that I want. So if I press 3 to go to face select, I can just box select this and not this, but that is the shape that I'm going for. So I want it to be straight down here, come over, and then kind of rotate over. Now right over here you can see that there is still that cut right in there, and I don't want that. So I'm going to press 3 or click right up here to go to the face select. I'm going to select this face, press X and delete faces, and then select this face and press X and delete faces. So I can now press 1 or click right up here on the vertex select, and I'm going to shift and select all these vertices. I can now press F, and that is going to fill a face right there. So now I just need to extrude these faces back in. So I'm going to press 3 again for the face select, and I'm going to press B now for the box select, and I'm just going to drag a box right here just to select all those faces. And now I will press 1 on the numpad to go to front view. So I want a person size to be about like halfway up on the window. So like when we create Darth Vader, he's going to be like this high. So the top of his helmet is going to be about halfway on the window, and then it's going to go down here to the the floor. So because that's about the size of a person, I also want that to be the size of the gap right here, because again, looking at reference images of a Star Destroyer, it seems like usually those little control areas are about the size of one person standing. So I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm just going to extrude this down, and I just want to make it about the size from here to here. So I'm just going to bring that down to about like that, and then just click to place that. All right, so we can just go back up here and see how that's looking, and that is looking very good. Although I do think I want to bring this maybe up just a little bit, so I'll press G and Z and just bring this up a little bit more. All right, tab back into object mode, and that is looking very good. Let's press Control S again to save. Now you can see that it is looking very blocky right now. So I'm going to go right over here to the modifiers. I'm going to click on Add Modifier, and I want to add the Bevel Modifier. So then right down here on the segments, I'm going to turn the segments to 5, just like that. And then I can also, with the Object Context menu, shade this object smooth. And then on the amount here, I can turn this amount down quite a bit, so it's much smaller. Now, if I kind of move right over here, kind of to the front, you can see this is a very sharp edge, and there's a bit of a shading issue right here. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, and I want to press 1 to go to the vertex select. I now want to select this vertex and hold down the shift key and select this vertex, and that way we have both of these vertices selected. I can now press Control B, and Control B is going to add a manual bevel. So I just want to bring this out, and then I can also use my scroll wheel and kind of make this a bit smaller. And then just click to place that. So now you can see, because we've added that manual bevel in there, the shading issues look much better. And also that has kind of a small rounded edge. And then something else that is happening is it's adding a little bevel right in here. And I don't really want to add a little bevel right in here. So on the angle limit right here, I want to turn this angle limit up. So in this case, I need to turn this angle limit here to 41, because if I tab back into object mode and I turn this angle limit down, you can see there's some weird issues right here. But if I turn the angle limit up to 41, now it's not going to add a bevel right in there because we already have a manual bevel. It's only going to add it to these edges. And then you can also change this amount here. So if you want to make it smaller or bigger, I'm going to make my bevel a little bit smaller. So something like that. Basically, it should just be a tiny little bevel on the edge there. All right, that is looking much better. So let's press Control S again to save. Now, while we're working on this object, we might as well add some more details to this object. So I'm going to tab back into edit mode. And then if I press Control R, you can see that it's not really letting me add a loop cut on the entire thing. So I'm going to just escape out of that, and I'm going to press 7 to go to top view. And then I can just kind of zoom out here, and then I can press Z and move my mouse over to go into wireframe. So I now want to press K again to go to the knife tool, and I want to add a cut kind of all the way down there. So I'm going to click right up here and kind of click in the center. Just click to place that right there. And then I want to press C, and that is going to again constrain this to the 45-degree angles. And I want to bring this all the way down, and then click again to place that, and then I can press enter. And now you can see that we have a loop in the center there. So I can now press G to grab and X on the X-axis, and I want to bring this over, and then just click to place that so it's about in the center there. And then I'm going to zoom in here, and on this one right here, I'm going to press Control R to add a loop cut, and then I can left click and then right click to bring that back. And then I want to add some cool little details in the floor. So I'm going to press 3 to go to the face select. I'm now going to select this face, and then I'm going to press I, and that is going to add an inset to the face. So I'm just going to bring this down a little bit and then just click to place that. And then I can press E to extrude, and I want to extrude this down just a little bit and then click to place that. So I don't want it to extrude it down very far. It's going to be pretty small. Maybe I could even bring that up just a little bit, but that's just going to add a little detail there in the floor. And then I want to add another one right here. So I'm going to select this face, and I can press I to inset this face, and I'll scale this down a little bit. And then I also want to press S and X on the X-axis and just kind of bring that down so it's about the same size as that one. And then again, I'll press E to extrude, and I want to extrude that down just a little bit so there's a tiny little gap right there. And then right here, I'm going to press Control R, and I'm going to click and add a loop cut, and then I'm just going to drag over and just kind of bring that down to about there, and then just click to place that. So why we're adding a loop cut right there is because I want to add some more details right over here, but I don't want these details to affect this part right down here. So now what I'm going to do is press Control R, and I'm going to add a loop cut right here, and I'm going to left click, bring that over, and then just left click again, just right there. All right, so I can now press 3 to go to the face select, and I want to select this face, and then hold down the shift key and select this face. I can now press E to extrude, and I just want to extrude that down just a little bit, and then just click to place that. All right, so now we have that little gap right there in the floor. And then I want to do that same thing kind of right over here. So again, I'm going to press Control R, add a loop cut right here, and I'm going to left click, drag over, and then just left click again to place that. And then I can press 3 to go to the face select, and I want to select this and then shift select this face. And then again, I can just zoom in here and I'll press E to extrude, and I'll just extrude that down a little bit and then click to place that. All right, so now we have those cool little sci-fi details there on the floor. And then I also want to add some more of these little squares that are kind of inset right down here. So I'm going to press 3 again, or click right up here to go to the face select, and I just want to select this face right here. I'll now press I, and that is going to inset the face. And then I can also press S and Y if I want to kind of bring that down a little bit more. And then I'll press E to extrude, and I'll just extrude that down a tiny little bit and then just place that right there. And then you can see right here, there's that little groove right in there. I want to add another one of these grooves kind of right here. But if I press Control R, again, you can see that because the topology isn't really quite perfect, there's a few issues right here. I can't really add a loop cut all the way over. So I'm going to just right click out of that, and then I can press 7 again to go to the top view. And then I can just zoom out here so that I can see the entire thing. And I want to press K again for the knife tool, and I'm going to click right there. And then I can press C to constrain it, and I want to bring it over, and then just click and then just press enter. So now it's going to add a loop cut all the way over. And now I should just be able to press Control R right here, and I can click and I can drag this all the way over. Just click to place that. And then let's just go into the camera view real quick, and I want to see how that is. That's looking okay. So I want to kind of zoom over here, and I want to make this much smaller. So I can double tap the G key, and that is going to activate the edge slide. And I want to bring this way down so it's quite small, and then just click to place that. All right, so I can now press 3 or click right up here to the face select. And I'm going to hold down the Alt key and select this loop of vertices just like that. I can now press E to extrude, and I just want to extrude this entire thing down a little bit just to add another little sci-fi detail just like that. All right, and then I want to select one of these longer faces. So I'm just going to select like this one right here, and I'll press Shift D to duplicate it. And I just want to kind of bring it over here. So I'll click and hold with my mouse wheel and just kind of bring it over. And then I can press period on the numpad to kind of zoom over to it. And then I want to bring it slightly up because it is kind of going through the same face. So I'll press G to grab and Z on the Z axis and just bring it up by a tiny little bit, and then click to place that. And then I can press G to grab and click and hold and let go with my mouse wheel to constrain it to the X axis. And I want to push it into the mirror just like that. All right. And then I will also press S to scale, and I want to scale it on the Y-axis and just bring that down a little bit so it's a bit more thin. And then I could also bring this over just a little. All right, so I now want to extrude this back in. So I will zoom in here and I'll press E to extrude, and we're going to extrude that down just like that so it's going underneath the floor. And then you can see that this is kind of dark looking, and that is because we need to recalculate the normals. So I'm going to hover my mouse over this object and press the L key, and that is going to select all of the linked vertices, and because these are all connected, it'll select all of them. And then we need to recalculate the normals. So I'm going to press Shift N, and that is going to recalculate the normals. You can see right down here, it says right behind me, it says recalculate the normals. And so now that looks correct, and the shading looks much better. All right, so that is looking pretty good. Although there is one thing that I want to do, and I don't know if this happened for you or not, but I think that this centerpiece right here is just a little bit too long. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, and then I just want to select these centerpieces right here and just kind of move them in a little bit. Totally optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but comparing this with my best result, I do think I want to bring this in just a little bit. So I'm going to press 7 to go to top view, and then I can press Z and move my mouse over and let go to go into wireframe. I now want to press B for the box select, and I'm just going to box select this right here and just let go to select that. And then also I will press B for the box select, and I just want to box select this loop of vertices right there. And then I will also box select these vertices right here, and I'll move down and just select that vertex right there. All right, so now we just have that piece right there in the middle and on the side here. So I can now press G to grab, and I want to bring it over on the x-axis and just kind of push it in a little bit, and then just click to place that. All right, so just back in here in the camera view, you can see now that's a bit smaller. You could also bring it in a little bit more if you wanted, and I do think that looks quite a bit better. Now, if you look back over here in object mode, you can see that there is a little bit of a shading issue. Something is just looking a little bit weird right here, and I don't think this is really going to affect the final render, but just to fix this, I'm going to tab into edit mode, and then I'm going to press Control R, and I'm going to add a loop cut right here, and I will just drag all the way over to almost the very end, and then just click to place that. So now in object mode, you can see that does look much better. All right, so now I want to model the sidewalls kind of right here, and then there's also going to be a big beam that kind of goes over on the top, and then there will be another sidewall right here. So to make that, I'm going to press Shift C again to make sure the 3D cursor is in the very center there, and I'll press Shift A, and I'm going to add a cube. I can now press G to grab, click and hold with my mouse wheel, and just kind of bring this over like that, and then I can tab into edit mode. So I want to press G to grab and bring that over, and then I'll press S to scale, and I want to bring that down. And then we can also click on add modifier, and we want to add a mirror modifier, and I want to mirror it over on the x-axis so that we have our other piece right there. So I can press G to grab, and I want to kind of stick this into the floor. And then I also want to make this a little bit more thin, so I'll press S to scale and Y on the y-axis and just bring that in a little bit so it's a bit thinner. And then I also want to click right up here to the face select, or press 3 on my keyboard, and I want to select this face right here, and I'll press G to grab, click and hold, and then let go with my mouse wheel to constrain it on the x-axis, and I'll just bring that over there and then click to place that. So I now want to select this top face, and I'm also going to press 0 to go into the camera view just so that we can see this a little bit better in the camera view, and I'll press G to grab, bring it up on the z-axis just like that. And then I want this wall to be a bit angled, so I want it to be over here, and then as it goes down, I want it to kind of move over to the end. So to do that, I'm going to move down here, and I'm going to select this face right here, and then I can go back into the camera view. So I'll press G and Z, and I just want to bring this up a little bit so I can see it, and then I want to press G to grab, and I want to press X on the x-axis and just kind of bring this over, and that way there's just a little bit of an angle right there. And then kind of right here at the end, I want it to go back over, because again, I am looking at lots of reference images of the Superstar Destroyers, and that's what they have. So I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to extrude this face down on the z-axis, and then I'm going to press G to grab and bring it over on the x-axis, and just bring that over just like that. And then this right here is a little bit too close to the ground, so I'm going to press 1 to go to the vertex select, and then I'm going to hold down the Alt key and select this loop of vertices. I can now press G to grab and Z on the Z-axis and just bring that up a little bit. So we basically have that cool shape going in and then back. Now this is very sharp right now, and I want to smooth it out, so I'm going to add a bevel. So with this selected, with this entire loop selected, I'm going to press Control B, and I'm just going to bring my mouse out, and I'm just going to add a nice big bevel just like that. And then I can also scroll my mouse wheel to add more cuts, and I do want to add quite a bit of cuts just so that it's very beveled. And then I can just click to place that. All right, so that's very good. You can see now there's that nice bevel kind of going along there. Let's go back into the camera view. So I now want to kind of move up here, and I want to press 3 to go to the face select, and I'm going to select this face right here. So I want to extrude this face out, and then I'll have another face right here that I can kind of extrude over to connect to the mirror. So I'll press E to extrude, and I'm just going to extrude this up, and just extrude it up kind of like that, and then we will have a roof, and that roof is going to go right in there. So I'm now going to just select this face right here, and then I can press 1 to go to front view. I can now press E to extrude, and I'm going to bring that over. I just click to place that, and then I can press G and Z, and we're going to bring that up a little bit. And then I can press E to extrude, and we're going to extrude that all the way over. And then I'm just going to bring it really close, and then right over here on the mirror modifier, I want to turn on this clipping feature right here. And that way, when I press G to grab, click and hold and let go with my mouse wheel, I can push these two together, and the clipping is going to merge this together. Now there is a face right in here, and I don't want this face, so I'm going to press X to delete, and I just want to delete the faces. So now there's just vertices kind of going around here, and they are merged together in the center. Let's press Control S again to save. Now you can see that this is actually way too high up, because right here where this window is, that is going to be the highest part of the bridge. So I'm going to press 1 to go to the front view, and then I can press Z and move my mouse over and let go. And then I also want to press 1 to go to the vertex select. So I can now press B for the box select, and I'm just going to box select this entire top part right there. And I want to bring it down because this is going to be the top, so this is like way too high. So I'll press G to grab. And I just want to bring this down, and I'm going to bring it down just like that, something like that, and then just click to place that. So I still want this to be angled. I definitely want that to be angled. And then I do want to be able to see this little beam right here. And then the ceiling is going to be about here. So that way we'll be able to see a little bit of that top part. And then I do think that this is a little bit too wide. So I'm going to double tap the A key to select everything, and I'll press S to scale and Y on the Y axis, and I'll just bring that down a little bit and then click to place that. All right, that was looking pretty good. Now I do want to add some bevels to this right here and also right here. But before I do that, this loop of vertices is a little bit too far over. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and just select this ring of vertices. I can now press 1 to go to the front view, and I want to press G to grab and click and hold with my mouse wheel and just gonna bring that over, and then just click to place that. So I can now just select this and then shift select this so that we just have these two vertices selected. And I want to press Control B, and that is going to add a manual bevel. And then I can scroll my mouse wheel because I don't want there to be that many cuts in between the bevel. And I'm just going to click to place it just like that. And then I can select this vertex and shift select this vertex. So we have both of these vertices selected. And again, I'm going to press Control B, and I'm just going to move it out just like that. And then I'm also going to scroll my mouse wheel up so there's a bit more vertices, and then just click to place that. So if I press 1 to go to front view, you can see this is the shape that we're getting. And then I'll press 0 to go back into the camera view. And you can see now that we've kind of shaped that out, the camera is a bit too far away. So I'm going to select the camera and press 0 on the numpad to go into the camera view. And I can press G to grab and double tap the Z key. And I want to bring this in just a little bit more, just like that. And then just maybe bring it over a little bit. And then I want to select this object again, and I'll tab into edit mode. And this object is a little bit too far back. So I'm going to press A to select everything, and then I can press G to grab, and I want to press X on the X axis, and I just want to bring this in a little bit, and then just click to place it, just like that. All right, so now that is covering up those walls, and also you could maybe even bring this in a little bit more, bring the camera in a little bit. So now we're really starting to get that look there of the Star Destroyer bridge, and that's looking very cool. All right, so now I want to add a bevel modifier to these walls because you can see that on this side here, it isn't really beveled. We added some bevels here, but I want to kind of bevel those sharp edges. So right over here on the modifier properties, I'm going to click on Add Modifier. And let's add the bevel modifier right up here under generate. And then I'm going to turn these segments up. I think I'll turn the segments up to 4. And then to turn the amount down, I can hold down the shift key and then click and drag on the amount here. And I just want to make it pretty small, something like that. So there's just a tiny little bevel. And then with the object context menu, I can shade this object smooth. Let's press Control S again to save. All right, so now I also want to add some little sci-fi details kind of along this wall here, kind of just like how we added in some little sci-fi details on the ground. So to add these in, I am going to tab into edit mode, and then I want to add some loop cuts right here. Now, if I press Control R, you can see because of how the topology is, we can't really add a loop cut all the way over. So I'm going to use the knife tool again to cut through the mesh. So I'm going to press 1 to go to front view, and then I will press Z and move over and let go to go into the wireframe view. And then I just want to zoom out so I can see everything, and that's actually way too far. We don't really need it to be this far. So I'm just going to box select this, and I'll press G to grab, click with my mouse wheel and kind of bring it over, because we don't really need it that far out. All right, so now I am going to press K for the knife tool. Now, before I cut this through, I want it to be cut through all the way over so that it cuts the front face and the back face. So to do this, I'm going to press the Z button. And if you press the Z button, you can see there is this cut through. So you can see right down here where my mouse is, it says cut through off. And then if I press Z, it's going to say cut through on. And that way it's going to cut all the way through the mesh. And then I also want to press C, and C is going to turn on the angle constraint. So you can see right down there, it says off or on. So I'll press Z and C to turn those both on. Now I can click right up here, and then that'll add a cut, and then I can move my mouse over here and then click to add a cut there, and then I can press enter. And now you can see that it's cut all the way through and it's perfectly flat because we turned on the cut through and the angle constraint. So now if I press Control R, you can see that anything underneath this is going to go all the way through. So I'm actually going to double tap the G key to activate the edge slide, and I'm just going to slide this up. Now I'm going to press Control R, and I'm going to click to add a loop cut, and I'm going to drag this loop cut very, very close, and then just click to place that, okay? So now we have a tiny little space right in there with some faces. So I now want to press 3 or click right up here to the face select, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key and select this loop of vertices. I can now press E to extrude, and then I'm going to press S immediately after that to scale. And then I want to hold down the Shift key and just scale a little bit, and then I'll click to place that. So if I press 1 to go to front view and just kind of zoom in here, you can press S to scale again. And then I don't want it to be scaled up and down, I just want it to be scaled in. So what I'm going to do after I press S is I'm going to press Shift Z. That way it's not going to scale up and down on the Z axis, but it will scale on the X and Y axis. So I'm just going to scale it down to something like that. So there's just a tiny little groove in there. And then I'm also going to press 3 on the numpad. And then I need to zoom out here. And this is going to go to the side view. And then I want to press S to scale. And this time I want to press Y to scale it on the Y axis so it scales it in. And I'll just scale that in a little bit and then just click to place that. So now if you kind of zoom out here and look around, you can see there's basically just a little sci-fi detail in there, kind of a little groove. So I want to do that same exact thing, but down here. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, and I'm going to press Ctrl R, click to add a loop cut, kind of bring it up maybe to around here. And then we can also go into the camera view and see where I want that. I think I want it to be a bit lower. So I'm going to double tap the G key, and that's going to activate the edge slide, and I'll just bring it down here. All right, so now I'm going to zoom in here, and then I will press Ctrl R. I'm going to click to add a loop cut, and I'm going to bring it way up here again so the loop cut is very small. And I can also hold down the Shift key, and that's going to make my movements more sensitive. And I will just bring it up like that, and then click to place it just right there. I'm now going to press 3 again, 3 on the top of my keyboard, or click right up here to go to the face select. And I'll just zoom in here. And then I can hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to click right here, and that is going to select this ring of faces. So I can now press 1 to go to front view, and I need to zoom over here, and I can press E again, and then I'm going to press S, and I can just scale the entire thing down a little bit. Just like that, click to place that, so there's a little groove in there. And then I need to press 3 on my numpad to go to side view, and I can press S, and then I need to press Y to bring it in on the Y axis, and I'll just make it a bit smaller and then click to place that. All right, so now if you look around there, you can see, again, there is a little groove right there. And if you go into the camera view, you can see those are gonna add some nice sci-fi details to that wall. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to create just some little cubes that are kind of popping out, just to kind of look like some little metal plating. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, and I want to again make sure I'm in the face select. So I'm going to select this face, and I'm going to press Shift D. So Shift D is going to duplicate the selection. I can then press S to scale, and I want to scale this down pretty far. Something like that. And then I can also press S and Y and kind of bring it out on the Y axis to make it a little bit longer. And then I'm also going to press G to grab, and I just want to stick it kind of about there, okay? So I'm now going to press E to extrude, and we're going to extrude that back in just like that. And then you can see that the normals need to be recalculated because the shading looks a bit off. So basically this has been flipped inside out. So I need to tab in edit mode, and I'm going to hover my mouse over this object and press L, and L is going to select all of the linked vertices. So then I can press Shift N, and Shift N is going to recalculate the normals. All right, so I want to basically duplicate this and just move it down here to add another sci-fi detail. So I'll press Shift D to duplicate, bring it down here. I think I'll press S to scale and scale the whole thing down, and then G to grab, and I'm just going to stick it kind of in there, maybe scale it up a little bit, just like that. Tab back into object mode, so we have those two little plates right there. So if I go into the camera view, you can see we have some nice little details there. All right, let's press Ctrl S again to save. All right, so I now want to add the roof. So for the roof, we already have this object right here, and this object is already the shape that I want. So I'm actually going to take this bottom object here, and I'm going to press Shift D, and then I'm going to press Z, and we're just going to move it up. Now, the problem with this being the roof is that there already are quite a few different things here, and I don't really want that. I just want it to be smooth. So we're going to tab into edit mode on this object, and we're just going to delete all of these extra things that we don't need. And then we can just bring it down. So I'm first going to make sure I'm in the face select, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and I'm just going to select this ring of vertices, and then I can press X, and we want to delete the faces. Then I can also press L with my mouse hovered over these objects, and I can press X, and again we want to delete the faces. And then you can see that there are some little sci-fi details in here, but actually we are going to be adding a lot of sci-fi details to the wall or to the ceiling, and so we might as well just leave these because this is going to be up on the ceiling, and so we are going to be adding more sci-fi details and things, so this will just help to add some more detail. So I'm actually going to keep these sci-fi details, but this right over over here, I want to tab into edit mode, and I want to get rid of this piece and also these pieces over here. So what I'm going to do is just zoom right over here, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key and just select that loop of vertices, and then I want to hold down the Shift and Alt key and click right here to select that loop of vertices, and then that one, it looks like it's already selected. So I can now press X to delete, and I want to delete the faces. All right, so now we have a hole in there, but that's going to be really easy to fix. What I also want to do though is delete this face right here. So I'm going to hover my mouse over this and press L, and that will select all the linked vertices. And then I can press X to delete, and I want to delete the faces. So then what I can do is I can press L right here to select this big piece right here, and I can press X to delete, and I want to delete faces. So now that we've deleted that, I can just press 1, and that's going to go to the vertex select, and I can just hold down the Alt key and again select this ring of vertices, and then I can press E to extrude, and I'm going to extrude it on the Y-axis, and we're just going to bring that way out just like that. All right, and then right over here, we just need to fill these faces. So I am going to select this vertex and then hold down the Shift key and select this vertex. I can now press the F button, and you can see that Blender was smart and it automatically filled the face. So it just saw that there were two vertices here, and so it knew to fill the face there. So I'm just going to continue to press the F button, and you can see that Blender is just going to go along here and fill all those faces, just like that. Now right down here, let's take a look at this. I'm going to press period on the numpad to zoom over to this, and you can see we have a little open spot here, so I'm just going to hold down the Shift key and select all those, and then I can just press F to fill that face. All right, so now if we zoom out here, you can see that is great for our roof. It's nice and flat. So I'm just going to press 0 on the numpad, and we're just going to hop back into the camera, and I'm just going to select the roof. I can now press G to grab and Z on the Z axis, and we're just going to bring this way down, and we're just going to stick it into place kind of right there. So I just want to bring it down a little bit more, but I do want there to be a little bit of space right here. And if you want to, you could tab into edit mode and just move this part down, but I'm fine with that. So I want the roof to be covering up that area right there. And then I also want to be able to see that metal beam just a little. All right, so that is pretty good. Now there is one thing. I want to recalculate the normals because this is actually the bottom part of the faces. And so we need to recalculate the normals because we're not looking at this part. We're going to be looking at the bottom part. If you click right up here and go to the viewport overlays, you can turn on the face orientation. And this is going to show you what I mean. So the blue faces, those are the outside of the faces. So those are always the faces that you want to see. But you can see that because we just duplicated this up, now the red piece is up here and the blue is right up here. So I'm just going to tab into edit mode, and I'm just going to double tap the A key, and then I can press Shift N, and that will recalculate the normals. Now it didn't really do anything because Blender thinks this is correct. So if you click right here behind me on the recalculate normals button, right here there is that inside. So you're just going to need to click on that inside button, and then you can close this. All right, so that is correct. Now if you look in the camera, you're only able to see the blue. So if I click right back over here on the viewport overlays, we can just turn off the face orientation because we don't need that anymore. All right, so we are almost done with this part, but I do just want to add a little bit more detail to these windows here because I want to add some loop cuts, basically kind of like how we have this. I want to add a little bit of an indent, kind of like a crease, just to add some more sci-fi details, and it'll make it look more interesting. And also looking at reference photos, I'm looking at reference photos of the movies, and they do seem to have some little creases in there in the windows. So I'm just going to select the window object, and I'm going to tab into edit mode, and then because we tabbed into edit mode, it's not going to show us the curve, so it just kind of brings it over here, so that's totally fine. So I'm just going to kind of zoom over here, and if you need to actually, I'm going to tab back into object mode and just select some of these objects and press H to hide them. So I'm just going to select the objects and press H to hide them just to kind of get them out of the way, and then later on we can press Alt H, and Alt H is going to unhide them. So H will hide them, and then Alt H will unhide them. So they're still there, but they're just hidden from our view. So I can now select the window object, and I just want to tab into edit mode, and I'm just going to zoom into this object. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control R, and I'm going to scroll out to add 2, and then I can left click and then right click. And you can see it's now added 2 loop cuts right in there. So I want to continue to do that for all the windows. So I'm going to press Control R, scroll out till there's 2, and then left click and right click. And then let's press Control R, scroll out until there are 2 loop cuts, and then left click and then right click. And then again, Control R, scroll out until there's 2, and then left click and then right click. So it hops back to the default position. And then Control R, we're going to have 2, left click and then right click. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to go back and select all of those loops that we made. So I'm going to press 3 on the top of my keyboard or click on the face select. I'm going to hold down the Shift and Alt key and we're going to select that loop of vertices. Move over here, hold down the Shift and Alt key and select that ring of vertices. And do the same thing here. So Shift and Alt and select, and Shift, Alt, and select that ring of vertices. So this is way too thick right now, so I want to scale them way down in. So I'm going to press S to scale, and then I want to scale it on the Y axis. So I'm going to hit Y, and then I'm going to make it really, really small. So really tiny, probably just about that tiny, and then click to place that. So I now just want to extrude these and scale them back into the wall. Now before I do that though, I need to click right here on the transform pivot point, and I need to change this to individual origins. Because if I just real quick change this back to median point and press S to scale, you can see they're all scaling together, but I want to scale them all individually. So I'm going to change this to individual origins, and now when I scale this, you can see they're all scaling individually from their own origins. So now what I can do is I can press E to extrude, and then immediately after that I can press S to scale, and you can see now we've extruded that out, but I want to scale it back in to the wall and then just click to place that. So now if I zoom in here, you can see there's some cool little creases right in there. So if I tab back into object mode, I just need to navigate over here, and you can see now we have those little details in there, and that is looking very nice. So I basically just want to do the same exact thing one more time, kind of right in the center here. So I'm going to tab back into edit mode, and I'm just going to navigate over here. So I'm just going to press Control R, and then I'm going to actually just add one loop cut. So I'm going to left click and then right click so it hops back to its default position in the center there. And I want to keep doing that. So I'm going to press Control R, left click and right click, Control R, left click and right click, and then Control R, left click and right click, and then one more time, Control R, left click, and then right click, so it hops back to the center. So now I want to select all of them, and then we're going to bevel them so they have more thickness, and then we can extrude them back in. So I'm going to press 1 on the top of my keyboard, or click right here to the vertex select, and then I need to again hold down the Shift and Alt key, and we're going to select that ring of vertices, and that ring of vertices, and Shift and Alt and select that one, and Shift, Alt, select that one. All right, so now I need to give it a little bit of thickness. So I'm going to press Control B, and Control B is going to add a manual bevel. Now you can see that right now there's way too many loops, so I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel way down till there's only 2. And then I just want to bring these out a little bit, just like that, and then just click to place that. So I can now press E to extrude, and you can see that when I'm pressing E to extrude, it's already extruding it out on a certain angle. So I'm just going to bring them back and just push them in a little bit, and then just click to place that. And just go over here and make sure it's done that for all of them, so you can see it's extruded all of them back in. All right, so I can tab back into object mode, we can move right over here, and you can see now these windows have a lot more detail because they have those little pieces right there, and they're just kind of going back in. So that is very cool, and it makes it look more sci-fi. So I can now just press Alt-H, and that is going to unhide everything, and we can check out the final thing so far. Let's just press Control-S again to save, and this is going to wrap it up for part 1 of the tutorial series. So I hope you've been enjoying this so far, and thank you so much for watching. And again, if you'd like to help support me and this YouTube channel, some great places to do that are on my Gumroad store and my Patreon page. I'll have the links in the video description, and you can also purchase the project files for this tutorial on my Gumroad and Patreon. So to continue this tutorial series, you can go ahead and watch part 2. I'll throw part 2 right up on the end screen, and I'll also have a link in the video description. So I'll be uploading one part each day, so when it's released, you'll see it right up there, or the link in the description. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in part 2.